Hello everyone. I truly wish you all good health, peace, and the courage to begin again, no matter how many times life breaks you. After everything I've been through, I never imagined I'd find myself smiling over the scent of fresh bread and warm cakes. But here I am starting over with a small bakery and a fragile dream. And beside me, quietly, patiently, is CEO Toan. Not in a suit, not in an office but in an apron, helping me knead dough, wipe flour from my cheek, and rebuild a life from crumbs of hope. Maybe love really does begin again when you least expect it.
The scent of fresh bread filled the narrow alley that once echoed only with silence and struggle. For Ly Tu Diem, it wasn't just the beginning of a business, it was the rebirth of her spirit. After countless nights of hunger, fear, and rejection, she finally stood in front of her tiny bakery, hands trembling not from weakness, but from the overwhelming joy of starting again. Toan watched from a distance, heart swelling with pride. He remembered the fragile girl he had once found unconscious in a forest, the same woman who had risked everything to save his life. Now, she stood tall, her apron dusted with flour, eyes bright with purpose. Her dream was simple: to bake, to create, to be free. And Toan had promised himself that if she ever dared to rise, he would be there to lift her higher. In the early days, the shop barely attracted any customers. Diem would wake up before dawn to prepare batter for her soft coconut rice cakes, learning every step from the kind Annie at the market, who had once taken pity on her. The old woman refused any payment and simply said, "One day, when your hands are strong, pass it on." True to his word, Toan helped in silence. He never sought credit. He paid the first month's rent anonymously, fixed the flickering light bulbs outside the store, and bought the signboard that simply read Diem's Bakes. Every weekend, he would drive her to buy supplies, pretending it was just a casual ride. She knew, of course, but neither of them spoke of it. Some bonds are too sacred for words. One rainy afternoon, when the city streets were flooded and customers scarce, Diem stood by the window of her bakery and whispered, "Maybe no one will come today." Toan, standing beside her with a steaming cup of tea, replied softly, "But you're here, and that's already more than enough." They smiled. Little by little, people started noticing the scent, the warmth, and most of all, the sincerity in every cake she made. Children returned for her pandan rolls. Elderly couples sat in the corner sipping warm tea, and office workers lined up during lunch breaks for a taste of something handmade with love. But it wasn't just a bakery. It became a place of healing. For Diem, it was proof that she was no longer a shadow running from her past. And for Toan, it was a reminder that love, when patient, kind, and unwavering, always finds its way back. They never had a grand confession, no dramatic declarations or roses, just shared glances, shared struggles, and one day, shared dreams. And so, in that little corner of the city, amidst the scent of vanilla and rising dough, love quietly began again. As weeks turned into months, Diem's Bakes blossomed like a quiet miracle. The bakery walls, once bare and colorless, were now covered in hand-drawn thank you notes from children, Polaroids of smiling customers, and even a framed article titled "The Heart Behind the Oven," written by a local food blogger who had stumbled upon Diem's pandan chiffon cake and never forgot the tenderness behind each bite. One crisp Sunday morning, Diem was kneading dough when Toan walked in with a box tucked under his arm. He placed it gently on the counter. "What's this?" she asked, wiping flour from her cheek. Toan gave a soft grin. Open it. Inside was a brand new espresso machine, the kind she had always admired but never dared to purchase. Diem stared at it, speechless. Toan, this is too much.
It's not a gift, he replied. It's an investment. I believe in you. She looked at him, really looked at him. The man who once lived in glass towers and luxury suits now stood before her in a worn-out hoodie, sleeves rolled up, ready to fix a leaking pipe or wipe down tables if needed. There was no arrogance in his eyes, only sincerity.
That day, she made her first cappuccino, and he said it was the best he'd ever tasted, even if it was a little burnt. Late at night, after closing, they sat on the front steps with cups of warm tea, watching the streetlights flicker. Diem rested her head gently on Toan's shoulder. It was the first time she let herself lean on someone without fear. I used to think love was something dramatic, painful even, she murmured. Toan smiled, placing his hand over hers. Sometimes love is just showing up every day. Quietly, Diem nodded, her heart steady for once. You always show up. So did the seasons. Spring came, bringing cherry blossoms that fluttered into the bakery like confetti. Summer followed, with long lines outside the door, and laughter echoing from children licking melting ice cream. Diem had started selling. Toan suggested adding a weekend band night and coffee brunch menu, and it became a local sensation. Then came autumn, with its golden leaves and cooler winds. One evening, as they closed up shop, Diem turned the open sign to close and lock the door. She turned to Toan. You've helped me build everything here, she whispered. But what about your world, your company? Toan reached for her hand, eyes steady. I've spent my life building empires made of glass and contracts. But this is real. This is what I want to build now. Tears welled in Diem's eyes. But this time, they were not of sadness or fear. They were of home, of hope. And under the dim glow of the street lamp, he kissed her, not with desperation, but with the quiet certainty of someone who had finally found where he belonged. Love, once broken and bruised, had begun again, not with grand gestures, but with flower-dusted hands, warm tea, and the hearts that chose to rise together, day after day. Chat Kanoi, life lesson from the story of Ly Tu Diem and CEO Toan. In a world that often values success by money, status, and power, the story of Ly Tu Diem and CEO Toan teaches us a profound lesson. True love and fulfillment are found not in wealth, but in sincerity, resilience, and the quiet moments we choose to stand by each other. Ly Tu Diem had every reason to give up. Betrayed by her past, treated unjustly, and forced to live in fear, she still chose kindness. Instead of closing her heart, she opened it, first to a stranger in the forest, then to a man who once lived far from her world. Her journey from pain to peace was not easy. It required strength, dignity, and the courage to trust again. Toan, once a powerful CEO with everything money could buy, discovered that true value lies not in luxury, but in loyalty. He walked away from his cold empire to help Diem build something warm and meaningful, a simple bakery filled with love. Through burnt pastries and sleepless nights, he showed that real success is measured by how much we care, not how much we own. Their love was not perfect. It was awkward, fragile, and slow, but it was real. They proved that love is not always about passion or grand declarations. Sometimes, love is quietly helping someone chase their dream. Sometimes, it's standing beside someone when they feel unworthy. Sometimes, love is choosing to stay. This story reminds us kindness is never wasted. Healing takes time, but it's possible. Even in brokenness, we can still choose to love and be loved. Most importantly, it teaches us that the greatest happiness is not in what we possess, but in the hearts we hold close, with patience, compassion, and unwavering hope. As Ly Tu Diem kneaded flour with trembling hands, and as CEO Toan stood quietly by her side, a deeper truth emerged. It is in the ordinary moments that extraordinary love is born. Their story is not one of fairy tales, but of real life, filled with scars, silent sacrifices, and second chances. Diem's journey also teaches us the importance of self-worth. She learned to stop defining herself by what others did to her. She stopped hiding and started rebuilding not just a career, but her confidence. By daring to dream again, she reminded us that we are not our pasts, we are the choices we make today. Toan, in turn, teaches the lesson of humility. He didn't try to save Diem by controlling her life. Instead, he supported her from the shadows, letting her bloom in her own time. He didn't need to prove his love with riches, but with presence, protection, and patience. That is the mark of true strength, lifting someone up without making them feel small. Together, they show us that love isn't just about the people being perfect for each other. It's about two imperfect people choosing each other, again and again, every day. This story encourages us to believe in new beginnings, no matter how broken the past. Support those we love in becoming their truest selves. Find joy in simple things, a warm loaf of bread, a shared laugh, a helping hand. In the end, the most lasting relationships are built not in moments of passion, but in moments of quiet loyalty. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just stays.